Hey, this is Al Angelo from A Plus Racing, bringing you a video on how to fix your car. Now, also, I didn't say Miata because this is kind of a general video. We've been talking a little bit about electrical, and I know I haven't made a video in a little while. Summer vacation came up. We're down here at the school. There's no one here. Even cameraman Mike, yeah, he quit and got a better job that pays more money. So now I'm using Katie. Katie was a student of mine. She works for me. And you've seen her in some other videos and stuff like that. So anyhow, so we got Katie down here, and she's learning how to count to the 3. And we're going to move forward with this video. But hey, so I told you that the next video is going to get a little bit more complicated. It's not going to be outrageous where you're not going to be able to follow along. I got kids in high school that figure out this electrical stuff all the time, so you're not going to have a problem with this. But I want to show you what electrical diagram looks like with the symbols that we've already covered so far in the last couple videos. All right. Okay. So I got a schematic up on the board, and it is the starting system. All right. So how does the car start? So I'm going to show you exactly what mechanics are looking at when they're looking at a schematic, and how do we figure out what's wrong with the car. Now, what I am using is I'm using what we call Mitchell on demand. All right. Professional mechanics usually have a couple of sites that we use. We used to have the books. When I first started teaching here at Placer in 2002, we had a whole room full of books of every year going back to 1955. And you would have to go and look up, find the book that matched that car and go find the electrical pages. It took up a lot of room, and then half the books were gone, and it was a nightmare. Now everything is online. So most mechanics use one of 2 different operating systems. They either use all data or they use Mitchell on demand. So we here at the school, we use Mitchell on demand. We've had all data in the past. You know, they both work. All right. They both have their pluses and minuses. So what you're going to be looking at is Mitchell on demand. All right. The school buys it, they pay for it. And so we use it in all of my classes. All right, so let's take a look at this, and then we're going to start off from the battery, and we're going to work our way to the starter, okay? You're going to see familiar symbols of what I've showed you so far, all right? So come on, look behind me, and we'll take a look at it. Katie might need to get over here behind me, and then so we can zoom in on it. All right, I'm not in the way, right? Okay, good. Okay, and I hope you can hear me. Katie destroyed my microphone. She's not very delicate. All right, so by the way, Katie, say hi. Hi. There you go. You know she's here. All right, so this is what Mitchell on demand looks like. And this symbol here should look pretty familiar to you from what we saw in the previous video, that this is the battery. And look, it says battery, okay? So it says battery. So right here, this is a symbol for ground. We covered that in the diagram. So this negative goes to some part of the body, and it's bolted to the body. All right, so that's our ground. That's going to be our return back to this part of the battery. Over here, we have battery positive. It's a black wire, and it says so right there. And it has 2 ends to this wire. One of them ends up going to part of the relay here of the starter. Okay, so it goes right from here, right to that starter. The other one, oh, by the way, this is a 92 Mazda Miata with a 1.6. I just picked one. They're all kind of the same. All right, so we know this battery positive goes here. Let's see where this one goes. So it goes up here. It's a black wire, and it's going to go to the main fuse block, the right-hand corner of the engine compartment. That's, if you got an MB, it's that big green relay up there, or not the relay. If so skip that. I'm jumping ahead. So that black wire goes to the main fuse, which is a black fuse in the main fuse box underneath the hood on the passenger side. So when you open that up, if you look in there, you'll see a black one. There's some pink ones and green ones. This one's the black one in the middle. And I've seen people try to replace that when it burns out, and it's bolted in. You have to take 2 bolts loosen them up, and then it slides out. You slide the new one in, you tighten up the 2 bolts. So that's that black one. If you were to accidentally put the battery on backwards, or if you pinch this wire in some way, you're going to pop that fuse and everything is dead. I mean, the kids come to me all the time. It's like, well, I don't know what happened, but now nothing works. And I go look, and they put a transmission in, and they pinch that main wire, you know, in the bell housing, and it popped the fuse, the main fuse. So I see that once in a while. So it goes into there. It's a black wire, goes through the main fuse, comes out as a white wire, and it's going to go to the ignition switch. So this white wire right here is going to power up our ignition switch. Now, somebody asked me, well, hey, when are you going to show the single pole multi-throw or multi-throw single pole switch? This is it. So this is a single throw and multi-pole. So we have the off position, the accessory position, the run position, and the start position. Now, being that this is the starting system, it is only showing the starting system. Otherwise, you know, this accessory would be, you know, if you, for the radio and the power windows and wipers, you could run that stuff in the accessory. The run, when you turn the key to run position, the lights come on the dash, but you're not started yet. You turn the key a little bit more, it fires up, you let go of the key, and it comes back to the run position. So this is basically, it's off right now, but when we turn the key to start it, we're going to move past these stations, and then this is going to connect with this. So we're going to have power coming from that main 80 amp fuse, and it's going to travel down this white wire to this center section right here. Then it's going to go to start. We're going to send the power down the line to this black and blue wire. And then it comes to this. This is a choice, okay? You probably have this. Some of you probably have this and wish that you had this. Matter of fact, I know you do, all right? So this is a manual transmission, and this is an automatic transmission, okay? So you got a choice. So let's just go with the most popular, which is the manual transmission, okay? So I'm going to come down here. I got a choice. I'm going to go manual. So it's the black and blue wire, and it goes to what we call the starter interlock switch, a bracket above the clutch pedal. Hey, so what that is, that's a little switch that you have to activate. You have to push the clutch pedal down in order for it to start. They don't want you reaching in, you know, the window, turning the key, firing it up, and the thing's in gear and it takes off down the road. It's embarrassing. Believe me, I know. All right, so that's what this is. This means that you gotta jump, you gotta push the clutch pedal in. You don't like it? It's pretty obvious how to get around it. I'm not gonna tell you, but you could probably figure it out. It's got 2 wires. All right, so we got a black and blue wire going into this switch. Then it turns into a black and red wire coming out of the switch. And then we come back together here from the automatic transmission side and the manual side. It's still a black and red wire. We come to what we call a split, all right? So this is a split right here. When I see a dot like that, that means that this wire is attached to these 2 wires. If it just ran right over the top of it without the dot, that means that it's not attached to that, all right? It's not attached. So this one is showing it's attached. So the power comes through here, and one end of it goes to the blower motor relay, and the other end, well, we're going to go, goes to here to another split. And from here, part of it goes to the power distribution signal, and the other one goes down to the starter. Okay, so let's take a look at the starter here. This should look somewhat familiar to you if you watched the last video on relays. If you didn't watch the last video on relays, go back and watch the other video on relays, okay? All right, so basically these little guys right here are magnets, all right? And you see how this one has a line going all the way across here? So what's going to happen is if I run power through here, it's going to split off, go through these 2 magnets right here, okay? And then it's going to end up coming back to here through the starter motor and to ground, all right? So I've got power coming to here, comes through, powers up my starter motor, goes to ground. So this switch is going to come across. When this magnet powers up, that brings this switch to this position. Power is going to travel through here. It's going to come meet this power here. These 2 powers are still powering up this magnet, powers up the starter motor, and to ground, and then it goes back to the battery. Okay, so let's take another quick look. Let's just review on that. So battery voltage goes to this pole right here. We're just waiting for this to come to here. All right, so because once this comes to here, then we're sending power to the motor. All right, so but in order to turn that on, we have to turn on the magnet. So the way we turn on the magnet is this direction. Come through the fuse, the white wire, come through the starter switch. We turn the key to start. It comes through the blue and black wire. We have a manual transmission. It goes through the clutch switch, turns into a black and red wire, comes across to the starter, and then that engages the magnet. That brings this over. Then power goes to the starter motor, and it goes to ground, and it goes back. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll jump this right here. If I'm not sure that my starter works, I can jump this right here and I can make the starter spin, and I'll show you that in a minute. If I have a car that doesn't start, if I turn the key and nothing happens, then I might want to be checking to see if I've got voltage at this blue and red wire that's going to the starter. If I don't have voltage going to the blue and red wire here at the starter, that tells me there's something going on back here somewhere. All right, so I would go back, check the white wire on the ignition switch to make sure I got power all the time. Then I would check the black and blue wire to make sure I have power when it's in the starting position. I would make sure that I had power going in the clutch switch and out of the clutch switch. I would just start checking all of these to get to here of why do I not have power going here. If I have power here, and when I turn the key to crank, and I've got power here from the battery, and I'm still not starting, I probably have a bad starter, all right? So let me show you on a starter I have set up over here on a table of what this looks like. Katie, bring the camera. All right. Okay, so I've got a Miata starter right here, all right? Got a little broken ear here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up the ground because this thing is grounded through the housing. So this part of the starter is the starter motor. This here is what we call a Bendix. And what this Bendix does, it has a big magnet in there that's going to kick the gear out. Okay, so what I need to do to make this starter work is I need to kick the gear out, and then I need to spin the gear. So if you look right here, you can get in here tight, Katie. You can see there's a male spade connector right here. Okay, that is what the black and red wire go to right here. So this is going to go to the ignition switch. All right. So I've got a jumper box here, and this is 12 volts. So if I touch that, you can see that it made the gear come out. Get where you guys can see it better. See that? The gear came out, all right? So that's the Bendix part of it. And then to spin it, I would need to get power to here, all right? So normally this would go to my battery, and when the ignition switch powers up this magnet, not only is it going to kick it out, it's also going to allow the voltage to come to here, which has a wire that goes from right here into the starter, which is the starter part of it. So if I hook this up to that, you can see that it's spinning, okay? Now, it's not kicking it out because I would need to run power to both this terminal here and this terminal here at the same time. And sometimes I can do it like that. So if I wanted to try to start the car, I could try to put a piece of metal or something right against here. You know what? For kicks and grins, let's just try it. Let's just see. Yeah, we'll use this. Let's just see what happens. All right, so that's simulating my battery voltage. And I don't know if you guys can see down there. And I'm just going to jump this. See if it'll work. No, I don't got enough voltage here. I ain't got enough pizzam. All right, but you saw I could do it manually when I run it. Okay. All right, so I just wanted you to see what the wire diagram looks like. Now, I showed you a Mitchell on-demand wire diagram. I'm going to show you the Mazda one now. Don't be scared, okay? I'm scared to show it to you, all right? So don't be scared. So I'm going to show it to you what mechanics would see if they opened up the Mazda book. Because I'm going to get all kinds of comments of, man, that's not right. I don't know where you got that wire diagram from. This is what we pay for, okay? But I'm going to show you the other version. So come on over here and let's take a look. So Mitchell On Demand also has the original version. So this is their system wiring diagram. It shows you the fuse just like I showed you. It shows you the switch just like I showed you. Pretty much has the relay just like I showed you. It's exactly what I showed you how it works. Okay? Are you ready for this? I told you it would scare you. This is the original Mazda wire diagram that Mazda sent Mitchell On Demand and says this is what we use for a wire diagram. So, and this is from 1992. So, like if you look at these fuses, that's not the symbol we use nowadays, okay, for a fuse. But this is what Mazda used back in 1992, okay? So, here is our starter motor right here, okay? It's still, here's the battery, here's the black wire, goes to the main fuse, all right? And this black wire here goes to the relay part of the starter motor. Here's the starter and starter motor. There's the ground for it. So everything is the same. Here's the ignition switch, the blue black wire. Here's that clutch interlock switch. And then the black and red wire. And black and red wire, it's going to power up this side of that magnet. It shows those magnets still in here. Okay, so this is what a lot of times what I look at when it doesn't have a system wiring diagram. So I have to get used to looking at diagrams like this. Okay, here's the main relay. Even though they're not showing me any electrical going to that, I would have to go to another schematic that's going to show me, because this schematic right here, I think, is the headlights, battery, alternator, starter motor. Okay, so this is kind of everything in the front of the car. So that I'm looking at right here. Here's the alternator, windshield wiper. You can see here they've got, you can see the grounds and the different components that make up the wiper motor itself. So anyhow, it's a little more complicated here. This is probably a ground. I bet you this is a ground. See how they're all coming to this one black wire right here? And it comes down to this. Oh, here it is. It is. It's a gang ground. Ground, left side engine compartment. So this ground, this bolted ground right here, man, look at all this stuff that it grounds out. Everything on the front. You got all your lights don't work in the front. It definitely could be that ground. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. And I hope this was informative to you. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you think I should add something, put it in the comments so that I could try to add it in the future, all right? And we'll bring some more on next one. Maybe the next one I'll show you some of the tools that I use in order to track down electrical problems and diagnose stuff, all right? Hey, subscribe to my channel, A+ Racing. It's Al Angelo. I'll see you at the racetrack. Bye now.